if you look at presidential polls today, what you're going to find is almost every single Democratic candidate is beating Trump in the polls. Literally almost every one except for the bottom 2 or 3. Now, I'm not really sure why anybody even watches polls anymore, because to be quite honest, I believe that the polls from the last presidential election really kind of determined the presidential election. Kind of what I mean by that is, as you watch the polls leading up to the presidential election, every poll showed Hillary Clinton winning by a landslide. And that was what was presented throughout the entire country in almost every single state with the exception of a few. Now, what I believe the result of those polls was, and this is just my opinion, I certainly don't have any basis for this, it's just what I think because I watched the election very closely that night, is the people that were voting for Hillary Clinton, I think essentially said, well, she's going to win, we're not going to get out and vote, what's the point? And then the people that were for Donald Trump thought, oh my gosh, he's going to lose, we better get out and vote, because the rural districts had record-breaking numbers in elections, and the cities had record low numbers in the election. And typically the inner city goes for the Democrats, typically. And typically rural communities vote for Republicans, again, just typically. Now, what you're seeing now is you're seeing Democratic candidates winning in every single poll that's out there, regardless of whether it's the Pew Research, Real Politics, Fox, whatever poll you're looking at has all of the Democratic candidates beating Donald Trump. Kind of a particular phenomenon. I'm not really sure you can trust them. But I do know that as people watch polls, and I think they're growing less and less trusting of them, what you're finding is they're really determining whether people get out and vote. I truly believe that if the polls show a particular candidate winning by a landslide, those people, those voting base for that candidate typically won't get out and vote. And I think that's a problem. So I just wanted to throw out my 2 cents on polls. I don't think we should follow them. I always do look at them because I find them quite fascinating, to be quite honest. But don't base your decision on whether you get out and vote on the polls. Get out and vote no matter what. So as you're coming up to this next election, being God, Family, and Guns, I'm going to tell you to watch out for who is the most pro-Second Amendment, because I believe that the Second Amendment is probably the most critical law of the land that we can follow, because if we are ever disarmed, I don't really know what kind of future we really have, not only in this country, but in the entire planet. It's very important that the United States stay very Second Amendment friendly. During the Second World War, the Japanese did not invade mainland U.S. because it was said that they believed there would be a rifle behind every blade of grass, and they were right, and it needs to stay that way. And even our own internal government needs to be aware that the citizens are very well armed. There's some small towns in the state of Missouri that have more firearms than some countries have, and it needs to stay that way. We need to be very pro-Second Amendment, and I think we need to vote that way as well. Just my 2 cents. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel through Patreon, that link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that stuff in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.